Okay, so today we will then cover Maghā Nakṣatra. Of all the 27 nakshatras, Maghā Nakṣatra is situated in 0 degrees Leo up to 13.20 degrees of Leo. So here, over here you see that each nakshatra is 13.20 degrees in the sky, and that is then divided in 4 parts. So Maghā Nakṣatra comes from the root word in Sanskrit, Mag, and Mag means to be great. It pretty much relates to the constellation of Leo, to be great, to excel, to honor, or to rejoice. So just before, it is actually funny because the Maghā Nakṣatra is actually a little bit before the constellation of Leo situated. And it is a group of stars just before the constellation of Leo, and the brightest star is Alpha Leonis or Regulus, and it has a visual magnitude of 1.41. So that is actually, this Regulus is like a giant star in our galaxy, and it creates enormous power, and people who have planets conjunct Regulus, you see they excel in their life. They become prominent persons in society, or wealthy, or have special functions in society. Okay, so pretty much you can say Regulus forms Maghā Nakṣatra, but there is much more to Maghā Nakṣatra than just describing what the Leo sign is. So what over here we do in Vedic astrology, there is a deity. It's not like a sign, but there is a deity, it's a Vedic deity from in the scriptures that rules that part of the sky. So from 0 degrees Leo to 13-20 degrees of Leo, the Pitṛs rule that part of the sky, and there is so much energetic influences coming from those Pitṛs or the ancestors. And then what you see with Maghā Nakṣatra is that lineage becomes really important. Lineage, what is your lineage? You see people fighting for the homeland, like putting their flag in the, which family are you from? I'm from this and this family, and my great-grandfathers were doing this and this. It's like patriotism. You see this becomes prominent through Maghā Nakṣatra. A certain royalty, heroism is all seen in this. So the motivation, in Vedic astrology, each nakshatra has a special qualification, and there is 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. I wrote down here 9 of them, the most important ones. So the motivation, we always look at the motivation of a nakshatra, and it's Artha for Maghā Nakṣatra, and Artha means pretty much you can say economic development. Yeah, so this is also important, and you see big leaders like ministers and kings having this planets in this nakshatra. So Artha is the motivation. Then the Gana, every nakshatra has a Gana, and this is, or it is divine, or it is human, or it is demoniac. So what we're going to see is that this nakshatra, even though it is so Leo-like, it becomes Rakshasa in its Gana. And we will see that because, we will see that a little bit later, it is because we deal with the Pitṛs and the ancestors and the spirits, that people who have afflicted planets in Maga can suffer from spirits, bad spirits, ghosts, black magic, and all that stuff. So the Gana would be Rakshasa. The orientation, it is a downward looking orientation because it is related to the symbol of an axe. You take an axe in your hand. It can be pretty severe, destructive, deceiving. Then Ugra would be its quality. So every nakshatra has a quality. And for Maga, because it's related to this Rakshasa here, Ugra, it can be a fierce nakshatra. Especially when you put a fiery Mars there, if it can become very fierce. It is because it is related to the throne, or you can say Regulus is known as the little king or the little son. It is related to seats of power, or the lion throne, or Regulus is also known as the heart of the lion. It is, you can pretty much say that after you fought a battle, you have your kingdom, but you become proud of what you just did because you were fighting so hard. You become proud. You sit proudly on your throne, and the people start to suffer under that leadership. So therefore, Maghā Nakṣatra is Ugra, can be very fierce. So then we have the caste, it would be Sudra, it's hardworking. Tamas Guna is ignorance, because, like I just described, you can become controlling, you can become proud, egotistic, and all that stuff under this nakshatra. And then what is also very significant, because we're dealing with the Pitṛs, the ancestors, the Shakti, or the power of this nakshatra it gives you the power to leave the body. And you see many people working with spiritual beings, being very much in contact with their guides and angels, and working with spirits. In the good way and in the bad way. If it's afflicted, people practice black magic, voodoo. If it's okay, then you see people working as light workers for sure. And then the element is water. And you see water, you see what can I say about element water? It is related to the past lives. Ketu is related, and the element water, they go a little bit hand in hand. Water is the placenta of the womb, and also in the Bible they use water to wash away your sins. That's what I forgot. The yoni animal is a male rat. That's very funny. Yeah, because it can also be a very sexual nakshatra. If you have afflicted planets there, the downside, you see, this is then related to the Rakshasa element. It can make a person extremely, up to degrees of very high level of sexuality, and where then people start to suffer. You see male rats, they reproduce like incredible. If you put 2 rats together, in 1 week you will have 100 rats. Yeah. Yeah. So okay, that's for. But now we want to discuss Ketu. Ketu is the guardian of karmas, and it is in the Vimshottari Dasha system. Ketu rules this nakshatra as a planetary ruler. And you see Ashvini is the first nakshatra. We take this now, we take Ashvini as the starting point. It's also Ketu. Everything starts with Ketu. So if you want to look at your past life, you want to check Ketu. Also, we're dealing with the Pitṛs, with the ancestors. We want to check our lineage. Where do we come from? Who were our ancestors? This is all related to Ketu. So Maghā Nakṣatra is pretty much related to past life. And if people have like Jupiter in Maga, for example, well-placed Jupiter in Maga, this person for sure will be like an important person. You will see that they will take up positions in society which are of very great importance, where they have to make very important decisions. This is all related to this Maga. Ketu, one of the symbols of Ketu is a flag. And what do you do after you won the battle? Then, or when they went to the moon, you put your statement, you put your flag in the ground. So you want to like say, look, here we are, this is my lineage, this is what I represent, this is where I come from. So that is Ketu. Ketu is not only like taking away your material desires and material possessions in order to give you spirituality. Ketu is much more than that. But Ketu does it really in an ugra form sometimes. So if you have afflicted planets in Maga, it can be pretty severe. Yeah. So, past life. So what you see on this nakshatra is the lineage, the inheritance, the genes, gems, knowledge, power and authority, status, royalty, all these lion-like symbols that you would see in Western astrology. It's pretty much, the symbol is a throne of this nakshatra, a throne in a royal chamber. And it represents power, status, and royalty. Now, where we came from last time was Ashlesha. Ashlesha Nakshatra. And then the follower is Maga. And what you see in Ashlesha, we discussed it last time, the fourth pada of Ashlesha is called Gandanta degrees, and this is and the first pada of Maga is also Gandanta degrees. So these are very, very, very important padas, especially when you deal with Ketu here in the first pada of Maga, because those degrees, this is karma coming your way. That means in your past life you have accumulated certain karmas which you are here now to fulfill or face. Yeah, for sure. And now, of course, you have unfinished business from the past for sure. But what you see, if you have planets in Maga, it pretty much means in your past life you have overcome the poisonous diseases or energies of Ashlesha. You have overcome in battle, and you see that also in Greek mythology, in Indian and Greek mythology. You see there's many poisonous snakes were killed by certain heroes. Yeah, like for example Hercules, who killed the Hydra demon. So you see that this is Maga. You see these heroes who have overcome the negative traits of Ashlesha, where they fought the poison of their past life and are now here to continue, hopefully to be victorious in battle. And a famous story in our Krishna practice here is the killing of the Kaliya demon. And Krishna killed also big snake in one of these stories. So this is pretty much the genetic makeup of our past heritage that you see. And then people who have Maghā Nakṣatra, they can be mystical people. So it's not only you think, oh, I have planets in Leo, or I'm a Leo ascendant, and your ascendant is just on the Maga degrees, that this person will be a mighty person or a great person or a royal person. No, they can be also very mystical people, spiritual people, which I find very interesting because we are in the sign of Leo and we're speaking about spiritual people. Regression therapists, like people who can guide people into their past lives, is seen from Maga. Historians, because they want to know the lineage of a country, they want to know the history of a country. So you will see historians with Maghā Nakṣatra. You will see antique dealers with Maghā Nakṣatra. So you would think, oh, I have Maghā Nakṣatra in my ascendant, and it turns out to be that you become an antique dealer. So we always have to be very careful with analyzing nakshatras. Or archaeologists who want to know what happened thousands of years ago in an area on the world. Or museum workers, because this is all related to lineage, it's all related to the ancestors, it's all related to the Pitṛs. Genetic engineers who deal with DNA reformations and all that stuff. So yeah. So evolved souls, like if you have an evolved soul, if a person is pretty much advanced in all those spiritual, mystical things and conquers the ego of the Leo placement, they can harness divine energies out of the cosmos for the benefit of the humanity. They become great persons, and you see them having a very proper balance between material and spiritual aspect in life, which is very nice. Okay, so so now what we see is that there are certain moments, if we want to dive a little bit deeper in Vedic wisdom, there are certain moments and mantras when moon is transiting, especially in the Pitṛ in the month that is ruled by those Pitṛs. It is really nice to offer your oblations or your respects to your ancestors, because you carry their genetic DNA. You carry what they pretty much worked so hard for in order to give that through their sons and daughters. So especially in a month like Pitṛ, it is very good to offer certain relics in prayer to your ancestors. This is really nice, and it is believed that your ancestors will then bless you with health, wealth, and knowledge, and also eventually you will find yourself to inquire an inheritance. So inheritances are also related to this nakshatra. Now what you see is that there is a Deva Ayana or Uttara Ayana, and there is a Dakshi Ayana or a Pitṛ Ayana. This is the movement of the sun when it is going north from the equator, and there is the movement of the sun when it starts to go south of the equator. So it is believed that the sun, representing your soul, representing your heart, if you leave your body in that period of time, you enter into the sun and you join the demigods. And if you leave your body in the Pitṛ Ayana or the Pitṛ movement, you go into the moon and you join your ancestors there until you take rebirth on earth. So the moon and the sun is and some believe also Jupiter are the very important planets you want to observe in your chart. You want to always check, if you have your chart, you want to see where is my sun and where is my moon, and I would say where is my Jupiter, and then you have like prominent planets like the Atma Karaka, or the planet with the highest degrees, and your first lord. So you always want to check for those positions. These become the prominent positions. Okay, so almost finish. Are there questions at this point? Because we did more than half. Do you have any questions about this? Because it's lots of information.
Leo.
Huh? Leo. It's a lion. It's the sign of the lion. Yeah.
Yes. Just Raksh.
Yeah.
Nakshatra.
Rakshasa means
demoniac.
demoniac.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rakshasa. Okay.
Yeah. But the thing is, you have good demons also. Like for example, there's many stories like Venus is called Sukracharya, and he's like the guru of the demons, and you see that the demons were also, not all demons are so bad, I would say. Yeah. But yeah. Hey, look at Prahlad Maharaj. He was born in a demon family. He was pure devotee, and we worship him. And then the Nrsimhadev prayer. So yeah, he was born, and personally the Lord protected him. Then when his father at some point wanted to finally just get rid of him himself, so the Lord appeared as Nrsimhadev in this dynasty of demons, but not everybody is demoniac.
And Ashlesha and Maga are their sign? Or?
Yeah, Ashlesha is then in Cancer. These are the last degrees of Cancer. We discussed this in another lecture. You can follow this on the YouTube channel. We're putting all those nakshatras there. And now the next one is Maga. But there is these degrees. The last pada of Ashlesha and the first degree of Maga is still Gandanta. And this is really karmic degrees. If you have planets in those degrees, you really have to analyze your chart thoroughly. Yeah.
How do you define because you say Maga and then we see some numbers? Is it timing or?
This is the degrees in the sky.
And how do you calculate these degrees?
Well, with the nakshatras we start with Ashwini. And this is in Aries. So we start in Aries.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we calculate forward. Yeah. So Maga, Leo, Cancer, Gemini, these are all chunks of 30 degrees in the sky and the orbit, or the orbit of the moon and the orbit of the sun. They go hand in hand.
Does it have a relation also with the time people born, or is different?
Yeah. So when you are born, then we take a blueprint of the sky, like a moment,
and we see where is
and then we see where is every planet situated, and this forms an energy on you. Yeah. And this is your blueprint, and then from there we can calculate a lot, everything. Yeah. Everything.
Yeah, we want to do it, but to see my birth chart, because once one friend she did, but a Vedic way, she just started, so she cannot really go deep into it. But I'm leaving on Friday.
Yeah, but there are different settings that you can use, but I find that apart from Lahiri, I use the Yuktesvara and Amsa settings, and I find this to be most accurate with the dashas, the timetables that you get, because then from the moment you take birth, those 7 planets, including Rahu and Ketu, will have their energy over your life, and then you have to analyze the nakshatras, and those nakshatras will be activated. And this dasha system is what, apart from the nakshatras, this dasha system makes Vedic astrology so interesting and accurate. Yeah. Okay, so let me then finish off because we can give a few examples from Maghā Nakṣatra. So if you have like a chart, so I use the North Indian chart system, which is pretty accurate. So these are the 12 houses in the sky, the 12, 30 degrees. And then if you have, for example, the fourth house, this is the fourth house. If you have Maga here, what does the fourth house represent? It represents mother or parents, and also properties, of course, and vehicles. But if you have afflicted planets in the fourth house in Maga, you see, this comes from research, you see that there is trouble with persons being born with afflicted, like for example a debilitated Saturn or a debilitated Mars. In the fourth house you see that people suffer with genetic lineage. They have genetic diseases and disorders. You see many cases like the children are born with genetic diseases and disorders. So what do? Okay, you're now born with this is your karma, especially when it's in the first pada here of Maga. There are certain remedies, but okay, we're dealing with the mother. One of the simplest remedies is to offer milk or silver to your mother or to your parents. If you suffer from genetic disorders, then especially when moon transits in Pusha, because when moon transits in Pusha is very favorable for giving medicine to a person. If you want to heal a person, then and especially when moon transits in Pusha and Cancer, because moon rules Cancers and Pusha is very exalted there. And these activities, it's very simple, but it can reverse your karmic patterns. If you know how the universe works, because it's complete. If you know about astrology, then you become more and more aware. There's complete mathematics. This is a reality of complete mathematics. So if you want to reverse karmic patterns, there are some ways, there are some little secrets that you can use to reverse those bad influences. Not all hope is lost when you are, for example, born with an afflicted planet in the first pada of Maga in the fourth house of your chart. Not all hope is lost, but you will have to go through certain karmic stuff. And there are ways to reverse a little bit of those influences. When you have Venus and Saturn in Maga, you see antique dealers, people who like to collect stuff from old days. When you have Mars in Maga, you see people studying political history, because Mars is related to war, politics, and you see people studying political history. When you have Mercury or Jupiter in Maga, what do you think? Politicians. Yeah. Where you see people very much interested in ancient languages and sciences. And you see librarians, because Mercury and Jupiter are pretty much related to higher learning, especially when you put them together. Ketu and Maga, this is a nice one. Ketu and Maga can make rebels, like complete rebels against government, or you see people actually taking important positions in government and reforming government. You see big reformers, and I will give you an example of that. Sun in Maga, you see patriots, you see homeland security, you see people fighting for the homeland, and also ancestors. If the tenth Lord is involved, there's something about the 10th Lord here, because it's also the 10th Nakshatra. So the 10th from the moon becomes your karma. The 10th house is the house of karma also. Is the house of the strongest karmic activity, because you're fully active. So the 10th nakshatra becomes your karma nakshatra, and this Maga is the 10th nakshatra. And so if you have like your 10th Lord or Maga is there in the 10th house, you see people like working for the home business. You see like Italian mafia. You see like really related to their family lineage and really close as a family. And working for the family business and all that stuff. So to sum up, Maga pretty much means also that you have the ability to cut the ties with your physical body and really connect with your astral body, with your light body. This is the Shakti or the power of this nakshatra. It creates spiritual communication with higher beings. But as we discussed, the sixth, it is Rakshasa, it's Tamas, and it's Ugra. And if the sixth Lord is involved, or the sixth house here, the people can actually suffer from negative entities, ghosts and spirits. And then, to finish off, I can give you a famous example of somebody who had Maghā Nakṣatra, and it was Bill Clinton. He had his son in Maga, in the first pada, a very famous example. But, and Leo, he was brilliant. His son in Maga means son in Leo. He was a very brilliant person, but that son, like you have the Atma Karaka, but the sixth Karaka is the Gnati Karaka, and the Gnati Karaka becomes very troublesome. So Bill Clinton had to go through trouble in his life because it was in his 12th house. So you see that he had governance problems and his also relationship scandals, because we spoke, it's male rat, highly sexual. Bill Clinton had problems with his scandal in public for the whole world, and to know about it, good luck. So you see Maga, yeah. Maga can be severe, it's Ugra, yeah. But on the other hand, in the first pada, falls in Aries Navamsa and it becomes exalted, and you see him having very high traits of leadership. He was actually, by some magazine, a famous magazine, I don't know which one, I heard this, that he had the highest rating as a US president. So even with these scandals and governance problems, he was still a great reformer, because he reformed the whole health care system, and the people were actually happy with him. So therefore he had a very high rating, and he was very charitable. But what happened behind closed doors, let's not speak about it, because many of people have these charity foundations and all that stuff. And also, I want to finish off, I want to say, it's very important to remember the forefathers. it's very important that you try to understand where you come from, what is your lineage, and that sometimes you just honor your forefathers. Because we see that also in our stories and our scriptures, that even though when Karna had no idea, in the Mahabharata, he had no idea who was his forefathers. And he was actually the oldest Pandava. When he went to heaven, he only offered gold to the forefathers and the gods. And when he went to heaven after the Mahabharata war, he went to heaven, and he was only offered gold to eat. And he said, well, what do I do now? I have to eat gold. So he had to actually come back to earth to offer foodstuffs to the ancestors, and in order to eat in the heavens. But okay, this is one of the stories. So I will finish here, and I thank you for coming. And if you have any questions, you can ask now.